Good evening. My name is Drake Starling, and I'm honored to speak today as part of the ISN teaching. I'm the Senior Government Relations Advocate for Energy and Environmental Policy at Network Lobby for Catholic Social Justice. I want to invite us to see the Environmental Justice for All Act, not just as a legal or technical proposal, but as a concrete expression of our Catholic calling to honor the dignity of every human person, to care for creation, and to walk in solidarity with marginalized communities. Imagine a child in a neighborhood near a refinery whose asthma attacks are triggered more often because the air is unhealthy. Imagine a community of indigenous people whose sacred water sites are polluted or whose wells produce toxic waste. These realities are not distant. They are lived experiences in the United States today, disproportionately borne by Black, brown, low-income, and tribal communities. The burden of pollution, toxins, and cumulative exposures is not equally shared amongst our population. The Environmental Justice for All Act seeks to shift that. From a moral and Catholic perspective, when any community is treated as garbage, as expendable, we sin against the common good. We violate human dignity, and we fail in stewardship of God's earth. As Pope Francis reminds us, we have no right to keep living as if we were disconnected from our surroundings. In plain language, here's what the Environmental Justice for All Act would do. First, it would prohibit discriminatory and disparate impacts. The bill would amend the Civil Rights Act to prohibit not only intentional discrimination, but also disparate impact. That is, when a policy or practice, even if neutral on its face, causes a disproportionate harm to communities on the basis of race, color, or national origin. In other words, it gives communities legal standing to challenge policies that may seem neutral but have unequal burdens. Secondly, it requires consideration of cumulative impacts and persistent violations. When creating new industrial or polluting projects under the Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act, agencies would have to assess not only the new emissions or environmental impacts, but how those emissions combine with existing burdens on communities. This bill prohibits issuing a permit if there is an uncertainty that a project will harm human health in an environmental justice community. It also ensures violations that have been ongoing, aka persistent violations, are weighed in the decision-making process. Thirdly, strong community participation and transparency, as well as community impact reports, will be required by law. So agencies would have to prepare these reports when planning actions for frontline communities. Under NEPA, which is the National Environmental Policy Act, the bill would require early and meaningful community involvement, not just performative comment periods, for projects that affect frontline communities. And for tribal communities, the bill ensures stronger participation when federal actions affect sacred lands, reservation sites, off-reservation sites, or resources that tribal communities use. Fourthly, institutional structures, enforcement, and support would be put together and reinforced by the establishment of the White House Environmental Justice Interagency Council, which would coordinate across all federal agencies and issue a national environmental justice strategy every 3 years. Each federal agency would also be required to produce its own environmental justice strategy and report to Congress on that progress. The bill authorizes funding and capacity building for community-based organizations, states, and tribes to participate meaningfully in environmental justice work that impacts them directly. Moreover, people who are harmed by discriminatory or disparate impact policies would have a right of action, that is, the right to sue to enforce their rights. So in short, the Environmental Justice for All Act would create stronger legal tools, a better process, more community voice, more community involvement, and institutional accountability for polluters. And why this resonates so much with Catholic social teaching is because at its core, this addresses the dignity of the human person. Every person deserves to live in an environment that does not harm their health or stifle their flourishing. God has entrusted humanity with care for the earth, but when some communities are treated as sacrifice zones, we violate that trust. It also completely endorses the Catholic notion of solidarity and the common good, because no one is safe in a poisoned environment. We must care for our neighbors near and far. As people of faith, we know that creation is not a possession to be used up. It's a sacred trust. It's a reflection of God's love made visible in air, water, and soil. The Environmental Justice for All Act reminds us that caring for creation means caring for one another, especially those who have borne the greatest burden of pollution and neglect. This is what a preferential option for the poor looks like in practice, ensuring that no child grows up gasping for air, no community is written off as expendable, and no people are denied a voice in decisions that shape their lives. In this work, we're not just advocating for cleaner air or stronger laws, we're participating in the healing of our home. This is the gospel call before us, to love our neighbor, to seek justice, and to make God's renewing spirit visible in our public life. The Environmental Justice for All Act is not a silver bullet, but it is a bold step toward repairing the harm of environmental racism, toward giving voice to communities long silenced, and toward ensuring that every person, regardless of zip code, race, or income, can breathe clean air, drink clean water, and live in dignity. It is a law worthy of our witness, and a call to live faithfully in service of the earth and one another. Thank you for your time and for giving voice to justice in our moment.